Well, here we are again. Not on the no signal screen, not on the Switch home screen, but on the OBS window. And you know how I said in the community post and description for my last video that I was going to stay in the Splatoon community until further notice? Well, this is the further notice. So anyway, I'm actually going to be using a sort of timeline to explain the situation with Six and Gem, because I don't want to have to remember all of this off the top of my head, but there is some extra stuff that happened with me that I kind of want to add. So, nope, pull it up. So here we are on the timeline. So, creative accessibility and clarity, so like, you know, on Twitter, you know, all that, like, disclaimer. Oh, also the trigger warning. Big trigger warning. So the first thing that happened is that I was surprised is that Gem got called out, but also, here's the thing. I had no idea this was going on back in February. So, like, you can read this, it's pretty significant, but, like, here's this. This is another thing that I'm going to link in the description, as well as this timeline. This is basically Six talking about all the emotional manipulation and abuse that led up to this. And one thing I want to stress very much, I know I've seen some like criticisms that she relies too much on that book, or that they don't feel like it's actually abuse, or like, because she's on the receiving end of this, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. What matters is how she feels about it. She's the one on the receiving end. That's the important part. That's what you got to understand. So I'm not going to go over all of the private conversations necessarily. What I'm going to go over is the more important stuff. So this is basically talking about him feeling like he's insulted because he was called autistic, and some of that, like, some other stuff that happened, but like, then we fast forward all the way to July. And this is where shit gets serious. So now Six is dating this person over here, I'm Mad Gamer. So yeah, I'm gonna read these because these are the more important ones, I think. So trigger warning: sexual assault. Imagine being abused, gaslit, manipulated, taken advantage of, then literally raped. Imagine a sexual assault advocate, police officer, and restraining order confirming that it was rape. You can't tell me the evidence is too conflicting just because he said it was all consensual. And then Six posted some stuff about, like, here are the full images here. Like, this is like arranged for service. So this is the card of the police after reported the sexual assault. A note I got from the court after I filed the order of protections, restraining order. Definition of served. And the explanation of the order is valid unless the respondent asks for a hearing. So, of course, all the information is censored. Makes sense. Blank county court, whatever, like judicial branch. And so, arranged for service. In the forms you must fill out asks if you're, I don't know what that stands for, but like has begun to give the abuser. Been given to the abuser. This is called service of process or service. This means that someone other than you personally hands the papers to the abuser. The sheriff or police officers usually serves the papers, but adults other than you may be allowed to serve the. Like, okay, so if the sheriff or police, if you use the sheriff or police, there's no cost to you, but you may need to take the papers to the sheriff yourself. Okay, all that stuff. But here, this is where shit gets funny. Not in like an actually funny way, but in like an upsetting funny way. So, I don't know if you've heard of splat safety, or as I'm now calling them thanks to this, splat unsafety. They're supposed to basically be a kind of like moderator force for the competitive Splatoon scene, to stop shit like this and other things like that. But here's the big thing. I'm going to read this entire statement and point out where they make stupid. Hello, Splatoon community. We have been working on a case where a prominent member of our community has been accused of sexual violence by a former partner. We have decided to pause the case for lack of evidence at this time. Now, we're going to come back to that whole lack of evidence. And we are seeing many outrage comments by this and stuff from you. I stand for behind your decision when like to explain why. All right, let's see why you're being stupid. First, much of the anger about on misinformation. There are claims that we're actively contradicting an existing court-issue restraining order. I don't think there were any of that. Our original understanding was that no restraining order had been granted. That is more of like an honest mistake right there. Like you could say, oh, but like, or at least it would be, if we won't get to something later. Although this happened on July 4th. We'll get to that later. This happened on July 4th, though. So it appears temporary order protection could be in place pending a hearing. This means the court make the decision. Okay, yep. We have not received any documents or that's a fucking lie right there. That's a fucking lie. It hasn't been from, like, third-party professionals because, like, you don't have contact with them, but, like, you have received documents. Well, I don't know if I don't know. Well, there's to play devil's advocate here for a second. I don't know if what 6 showed them could be considered a document, but still, in my opinion, this is a fucking lie. We received rumors of that the is on our council, which I'm fine with. I mean, I have no reason to dispute this or reason to argue against this. I don't have anything I could even say about this, so we're just going to move on. Based on a published partial chat transcript, the accuser people are currently inferring that we have a habit of trusting the... Even if it's not a habit, like, here's the thing, even if it's not a habit, you still shouldn't be doing this. Like, even if it's not an actual, like, habit, you shouldn't be doing this. And Miss Kukta, sorry, I have a hard time, like, reading this seriously and going through this. Sorry, which I'm kind of doing this live. I'm not doing any editing because, like, stuff, but, like, see, even in case, we usually receive enough corroboration to establish a reasonable line of events, which you have, by the way. I'm sorry, you have. You can't just say, like, oh, well, other times we get it, but not for this one. Any evidence or... So you're just gonna... Oh my god, okay. Relative to the legal system, our standard of proof is lower. Oh, we'll see about that! We will see about that! We will see about that, splat safety, or splat unsafety. As opposed to requiring that it is more likely than not, which it absolutely is. I'm sorry, it is more likely than not. Sorry, I'm not reading this out loud as much as I could. Not a single person in our group found that documentation. Yeah, okay, just repeating the point. So here's this. And here's them shilling for their counsel. For a sec, understand that. Yeah, it is difficult to trust. I'm sorry. I don't think you should be anonymous. I think that's the biggest problem with splat safety. And the fact that there's not good records of their of what they do, we can't really trust to see if they even do their work well. Like, even if that is true, like, saying that, oh, our council is diverse, made up a different life experience, that doesn't really mean that you're that you're necessarily always gonna do the right thing, because, like, you're clearly not doing the right thing here. So, even that is the case. The majority of our council has personal experience with marginalization and this, like... But here's the thing. If you understand the harm and risk of existing power structures, why are you acting like them? This is to kind of imply that you aren't acting like them. Very careful, And here's the thing, granted, I could go into, like, a whole detail about how even just having any form of, like, hierarchical structure at all that isn't, like, everyone having power is a bad thing, but that's not the point of this video. So, let's see how 6 reacted to this. Although, now rereading this, like, here's the thing. The system didn't make any mention of these things. However, also back to, like, I kind of play devil's advocate a little bit sometimes. But here we have this. So, like, it doesn't make any mentions of these things, but if these were mentioned as splat safety, these should be pretty damn evidence. For example, like, she doesn't, like, say that, it doesn't say that the act was consensual, but, like, they're more so implying that nothing happened at all, which I think is worse. But here's the big things. Jem and Six were not dating. She was already in a relationship with Imad. And also, there's that whole document outlining the history of intimidation and manipulation. So this is more of like a miscellaneous thing. It is important, but I want to go to something big and damning. Six shares further messages with Splat Safety regarding the allegations in response to a comments tweet. So here's the thing. So for the sake of fairness, allow me to share their response from the public Splat Safety Discord while they wait for their social media person to be able to post it to Twitter themselves. And guess what? Six said this. Hi, Splat Safety. My sexual assault advocate recommended that I get an order of protections, restraining order against Jem, and I just got an email that has been served. Thank you. So, and then guess what? She literally told them that it was granted. And guess what? Now we're gonna look at something even juicier. Here's their whole reply for funsies. Here's what you can look forward to as a sexual assault victim. And here it is. Oh, I hate this. I hate this so much. Hi, Six. We've carefully reviewed all of the testimonies we've received over the last several months regarding the events that took place on the night of bowling with Jem and otherwise. This included a thorough comparison of your account with Jem's plus an extensive review by Sal. Unfortunately, we run into lots of issues trying to complete this case. The testimonies received from various parties often seem to contradict with each other. Here's the thing. Here's what I don't like about this statement. They're assuming that every single party's is equally testimony is equally valid, which I think is the problem. And this is the problem with sexual assault victims in the first place. They're never given priority, often making them dismissive and things like that. And this whole dismissal is echoed by this stupid penguin. So, with further pursuit of the facts only leading to more confusion and confliction, in order for this case to be received, we'll be placing it in our cold cases file for allowing for the police and justice system without any external Please note that our investigation is conducted by a volunteer group. Yeah, okay. Only have completed their legal process. Assuming you intend to move forward with that, we can revisit the case. Oh, yep. We can't help any more than needed. Sorry, I'm just trying to, read this. Okay. Okay, so, and here's Jem saying, nuh-uh. Of course he did. So, and I'm mad at repeating the same state. If the situation wasn't so serious, I'd be laughing my head off because this is exactly how I'd expect him to respond. It's utterly ridiculous. If he's losing followers, it's because people are beginning to see the kind of person he is. To be honest, I don't give a crap if people watch his videos or not, or how many subs he has. The point of coming out with all this information was for the truth to be known and for him to stay the fuck away from Six and I. Yet here he comes again, pridefully charging straight back. Six spent literal months not talking to him. But the moment she ignores him at a LAN, he wants to be friends again. He cares more about his public image than actual people. More about being right than being kind. More about how people treat him than how he treats others. And now that we've gone through the whole timeline, I'm going to go back over to the OBS window to talk about some extra things. Some stuff that happened to me, and some parallels that happen in other communities, and even one thing that happened in the Splatoon community. Alright, so, you may know the YouTuber Ken Knows. He's mostly the news guy for the Splatoon community. As usual, he's scrolling Twitter. Six did comment on his video and replied to a comment of mine where I was kind of being upset at Ken and about him, like, blatantly omitting things and stuff like that. I at first, when I looked at that, I kind of saw, like, oh, he wasn't, like, omitting things and I just misinterpreted the video. But then I thought about it a little bit more. Because, well, he did heart Six's comments saying that, saying some stuff, and she was surprisingly able to stay positive about this and not instantly dismiss the community, and even, I'm surprised she was even able to go to another partner at all. Because in this situation, I'd be too hurt to even try love again. But that's beside the point. Let's get back to Ken Knows It. I'm tangenting because I don't have a proper script for this. So, he did show the images, or at least the tweet that had the images of the restraining order and all that stuff, but he didn't show any of IMAD's stuff or the public response in the Splat Safety Discord from the stupid penguin. Nor did he talk about the evidence, like, well, granted, he didn't say anything about it not being consensual. He was more so saying that it might not have happened. Which, again, huge problem. We are way too dismissive of sexual assault victims. Hashtag believe all victims. And I'm not even going to go over the comments, but some of the comments in his video were extremely dismissive, extremely defensive of Jem, more so in the way, like, not that he didn't know it, but more so that they hope he didn't do it. Which, of course he did. The evidence is right in their face. But here's the thing. I feel like Ken excluding that conversation that Six had with the Splat Safety Discord people could be considered a blatant lie of omission. But all of this happened before his video came out. Or at least as far as I know it did. Because but he did highlight a lot of the stuff with Splat Unsafety's joke of a response, and didn't even show some of the hypocrisies in it. But here's now I want to get back to the important thing about some of the parallels that have happened in other communities. Recently, Dr. Disrespect was outed as a pedophile, and a lot of people are defending him, saying he didn't do it and such. But something similar happened in the Splatoon community a while ago. There was this other YouTuber whose name I cannot remember, but you may know him for what he did with his Bridget character in his Octo expansion playthrough that he did several years ago. And a couple years ago, he was outed as a pedophile. Now, I don't know exactly what was going on, but from what I know, it was only really one person who was truly exposing him. Although that's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, but a lot of people, from what I knew, did jump onto it. It didn't take a second, like with the jackpot racism situation, or anything like that. But this? So many people are so dismissive of Six and the blatant evidence she has, especially Splat Safety. This is a common thing that sexual assault victims have to go through. Dismissal. This is why so many of them don't come out, because they're afraid of being ridiculed and dismissed. They feel like even if they say something, no one's going to listen. Oh, shoot. I just got a notification from something I posted on Reddit, which was about this exact situation. And speaking of that Reddit post, I was expecting it to get locked, deleted, or have me banned from the subreddit, but thankfully none of that happened and the moderators were okay with it. Now, here's the thing. I really, really care way too much about the well-being and safety and happiness of people I never met. That's why I'm such a huge advocate for things like minority rights and things like that, as well as making the world a better place in general. Yet I feel like I can never truly do anything. I wanted to make this video for a couple reasons. To give myself a bit of closure on the situation, and to explain what's going to happen with me and Splatoon videos. Now, you may have noticed that I changed my profile picture to a me. This is a new me I've created, and not the me I've used since I was like a young child back on the Wii. Unless some kind of justice happens with this case, I'm not going to come back to the Splatoon community. I might play the next couple Splatfests and complete the catalog, but I'm not going to stream them, and after that, I probably won't even play Splatoon 4. And here, another thing is that thankfully I do have a lot of, with Mario and Luigi Brothership coming out in November, I actually do have some stuff to do on this channel until like some justice happens. Speaking of justice, Gem is going to court with Six over defamation. Yes, defamation, meaning that even if it does happen, he most likely will not get in trouble for this. And even if it was over the actual sexual assault, court systems tend to side with the abuser contrary to popular belief. And I hate this. I find it horrible. It's just upsetting to me, because from what I know about Six, because trust me, I never even heard of her prior to this situation. Like a lot of competitive Splatoon players who don't make content, I have no idea who they are. But from what I know, she is incredibly nice, probably a bit too nice considering considering what happened with the whole manipulation thing and how she didn't fight back as much as she probably should have. But also, here's the thing. I'm thinking, hold on. This is also a problem with the way we raise women and men in society. We raise them differently because stupid, and the patriarchy. We don't really raise women to fend for themselves or fight or do anything. We raise them to either rely on someone else or to not do anything at all. Why? Because of the patriarchy. Yes, it is real, and no, I don't want to hear anything about it. I know this video is going to get dislikes by dismissers and supporters of Gem and whatever else. Saying I'm being melodramatic or whatever, but like, I don't care. This is my video. I get to make it. It's also been way longer than the other two videos I've made, but like, that's probably because I'm actually going over the real information from memory, not from memory, and actually saying extra things along with it. And also, one last thing I want to say. Six, if you're watching this video, I know what happened was traumatic and everything, but I want to help you. I want to help everyone like this. If you feel like that you shouldn't be angry to what happened or anything else, sorry, I dropped something, but like, that's on you. And I don't want you to feel like I have to fight for you or someone else has to fight for you. Because I just went on that whole patriarchy spiel about how we raise women. And to Jem, if you do somehow go to jail for this, I hope you get raped in prison, you twat. And if you don't, I hope that happens to you in hell, you piece of shit. Anyways, I'll see you maybe for a real video at some point.